Hello, scholars, and welcome to weeks 3 and 4 of Applying Philosophy to Modern Global Issues. I was just blown away by the great work you guys put into the first week's lessons. It was an incredible conversation about the eye in the sky. It was one of the best I've seen. Um, and we dealt with some really interesting questions. What's the best way for us to orient ourselves to reality? How do we get into a zone which enables us to deal with harsh reality in the most natural way? And do we do the right thing because it's right, or should we expect a return on any investment of virtue in our part? How do we judge others? Should we focus on their character? That's virtue theory. Should we focus on the consequences of their actions? Consequentialism and utilitarianism. Or should we simply focus on the morality of the actions themselves? That's deontology. Philosophers have wrestled with these questions throughout the centuries. This week, we'll be using the findings from the research of contemporary psychologists to explore where morality actually comes from. The Greeks believed that moral truth pervaded the cosmos and existed at the core of human nature as the soul. Today, scientists argue that morality developed as evolutionary responses to the challenges of survival that humans face throughout the eons. So, during weeks 3 and 4, during Module 2, we'll start by comparing Aristotle's virtue theory to Confucius's wisdom, and there'll be a graded discussion on that due on Tuesday, September 18th by 11:59. Next, we'll consider the theories of human nature which have dominated Western thought since the Greek Golden Age. We'll read about Plato's conception of the divided soul and the struggle we must constantly wage to use reason to overcome animal instincts. However, during the 18th century, the Scottish philosopher David Hume took issue with Plato and Aristotle's argument that reason is the source of human morality. Hume asserted that our moral selves are instead shaped by our emotions. He said, quote, "Reason is the slave of the passions," unquote. Unlike Plato, Hume believed that our emotional selves provide us with our capacity to feel sympathy, which enables us to empathize with others. For Hume, our instinctive self is the source of our morality. Contemporary psychologists have borne out Hume's conception of human nature and the origin of our moral selves. Psychologist Jonathan Haidt likens our rational nature to an elephant rider who may nudge a huge beast in a certain direction, but the elephant, our instinctive emotions, really determines where it's going. Haidt and his team of psychologists have identified 6 moral foundations which our species, Homo sapiens, has evolved over hundreds of thousands of years. Haidt argues that the political divide that exists today between liberals and conservatives isn't based on rational analysis of the issues which divide Democrats and Republicans in the United States. He argues that we don't use reason to determine our political beliefs. Instead, we respond instinctively to issues which stimulate the 6 moral foundations. And then we use reason to justify the emotional responses which determine our moral positions on issues which divide us, like immigration, abortion, racial profiling, gay marriage, and NFL players kneeling for the anthem. Haidt believes that people on different sides of these issues cannot argue rationally about how to resolve these issues because our responses are instinctive. How can we overcome this divide? Only by learning how to empathize with the people with whom we disagree. If we can understand the powerful instincts which shape our responses to issue, we can sense the reason why people who disagree with us hold their positions with such force. Only by feeling our way to an understanding of our opponent's beliefs can we begin a dialogue which can create a bridge across the partisan divide. So, with an understanding of modern science's new conception of man and the state of nature, we'll break into groups to create presentations which investigate the ways that Haidt's 6 moral foundations influence the moral divisions which threaten our democracy. Now, that's a load, but it's all laid out below in you can read through this on the text, and all the different due dates are due. So we'll have 2 graded discussions this week. Then you'll choose over the weekend which hot button issue you want to focus on. And then next week you'll have the whole week to work with a partner to create a Google Slides presentation, which doesn't advocate for a position on a typical hot button issue. Instead, it analyzes how we are being manipulated emotionally by both sides of the political divide. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you all online, okay?